Carrying. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. Ecclesiastes 4:9. We came to Canada in the 1970s. Mom and Dad, me and my 4 older sisters. I remember hating my boy's short hair. Mom had cut all our hair the same way, as if we were going into the military instead of a new country. In a way, she was right. "There's only one bedroom," Kathy said. Well, we had none at Uncle Simon's. Wendy was right. We had slept in his living room for a month. In Hong Kong, we were 7 and a bachelor. One bedroom was like nothing we'd ever known. We had arrived. Still, Pat, the princess, was deadpan. "We don't have beds. At Uncle Simon's, we had beds." One. It had been a pull-out. 4 of us squeezed sideways on it, the rest on the floor. By evening, we had it all worked out. Mom, Dad, Kathy, and Pat would take the only bedroom, with Mom and Kathy on opposite ends of a couch with foam stuffing stuck out of ripped armrests, while Dad shared the bed with Pat, his favorite. Wendy, Karen, and I, the long-suffering ones, got sleeping bags on the living room floor. It would have been fine if not for the incessant clicking by my ears. One night, I'd had enough. I picked up my slipper and started slapping at anything glinting on the hardwood floor. Swack, swack, swack. They were fast, but my 3-year-old preoccupation with hand-eye coordination served me well. Swack, swack, swack. A glimmer by Karen's ear. Swack. Karen jumped up, beeline for the light switch. We froze at the sight. Almond-shaped, shiny backs, scattering with lightning speed. Carpet bombing ensued. By the time Wendy woke, we were jumping around like pop rocks. This nocturnal battle became a regular ritual. We plotted, planned, and set up ambushes. Life wasn't the same when our beds arrived from Sears and we started sleeping again. But then we discovered horror movies. Friday was horror night. It was our answer to the Canadian Games night. It was Mom's homemade Ouija board or nothing, or s'mores by the fireplace. No fireplace. For us, family bonding happened whenever one of my sisters astutely spotted a horror rating in the TV guide. Vampires owned 70s late-night TV. Woman vampires with pink eyes and blood-stained hair. Man vampires with bald heads and pointed ears. Even little girl and boy vampires with a particularly vicious appetite for unsuspecting adults. 6 of us, including Mom, would sit squashed on a single couch. Me, a petrified Pop-Tart, usually in between Karen and Wendy. Dad always joined us when he got home from his late shift, bringing his chopsticks and giant bowl of rice and meat to eat in front of the TV, while we watched B-rated actors get their jugulars ripped out. My sisters helped me keep a blanket over my head, while I plugged my ears with little fingers in an attempt to keep out the noises, variations on hissing, ripping, sucking, and screeching. One night, I was awoken by a scream that started at my toes and went straight up through my scalp. It was Pat. She had woken up and saw 2 gorillas sleeping on either side of her. Dad said, "Must have been a dream because there was only one person beside her, Kathy." We thought that was funny. After that, we were banned from horror movies for a while. But then we discovered baby blue movies on City TV. When there was no blood slurping or booty slapping to watch, we went pow-bow. Dad's coinage for when we ran to meet him at the bus stop after his night shift. "Is it him? Wait, I can't see." Then, with our noses flattened on the cool window, someone would spot him, a soul-lonely figure stepping off the bus. We recognized his gait, unhurried, hunched, with a slight but discernible limp. Gout. We'd race to the door in our pajamas and jump, sockless, into random shoes. Pat might ram her 2 small feet into Mom's cowboy boots. Wendy would slip on Dad's Adidas runners, tripping over the rug. None of us could find our own shoes, groping around the dark foyer. We would laugh and jostle each other, eager to get out the door for the 300-meter dash. When he saw us coming, he would open his arms. Kathy always got there first, the fastest. Karen, skinny but sickly, got second. Wendy and Pat, who never actually ran, kind of hobbled and dragged in after. Dad would hold each face as it went in for the reward. Wet, prickly kisses with loud smacking noises. I was always last, but when I got there, they'd part like the Red Sea and let me have them to myself. Cool stuff always happened when I was with my sisters. Even the bad stuff didn't seem so bad, like going to school. Together, we'd walk through the hydro field beneath the constant steely humming of the live transformer wires overhead. Knowing what was to come, I used to imagine that the giant transformers populating the field at 100-meter intervals were our magical guardian angels. Then, as if on cue, a couple of them would gather slowly from the right, from the apartment buildings. Most of them lived there, the apartments. We always tried not to look that way when we passed, lest psychic brainwaves drew their attention. They always traveled in pairs, never alone, and as they approached, they would gather a few more from this direction and that. Some days, when we hustled to leave home early, none of them came. Then, I'd silently thank my transformer guardians for their intercession on our behalf. Usually, we made nervous conversation as we approached the field while muffled electronic currents slowly came into earshot. Karen would absently ask Pat whether she'd remembered her homework, and Pat would ask me whether I'd brushed my teeth, and I'd ask Karen what she'd packed me for lunch, and so on. No one would ask Kathy anything. We knew she needed to concentrate, senses on high alert for ambush. She was the one in charge, the lieutenant leading her troops into no man's land. We usually made it halfway across the field before it began. "Hey, Chinky Chinky, where you going?" Kathy would do nothing until one of them directly blocked our path. Then, mayhem. It always started and ended quickly. Kathy would jump around like an excited hyena when roused by a pack of hungry hounds. Her movements were lightning quick, fists and nails cutting through the wind noiselessly. Our tormentors would fall back in a defensive stance, fists awkward, at times flailing to strike an elusive moving target. At times held up to protect a surprised face contorted by a mix of menace and fear. Karen would take on the lesser mutts, those that yapped and nipped at Kathy's heels, while Pat played the armor-bearer, picking up things as they dropped them for battle. I would stand back and wait for the attack to pass, pretending to find it funny to onlookers who might be deciding whose side to take in future smackdowns. I intuited early on that perception was all in the spin. Eventually, one of them either got bored or scared off, like aimless flies. One by one, they'd drop off. My sisters were my true guardian angels. I never had to throw a punch, not on their watch. My sisters were strong. They were also magic. When I was 7, I wanted a bike. None of us had one. They told me if I prayed hard enough, I might get my wish. So day after day, I prayed, with my head on the scratchy ottoman. They wrote, "Happy Birthday," on the wood-paneled wall with popcorn and tape, and invited 5 of my neighborhood friends to eat a cake of chocolate-covered marshmallow cookies stacked high on a plate. I was still clueless when they got me in a dress and curled my hair with an iron. Still boyish short, the result was Carol Burnett. They'd even invited Jeffrey Lyle, who showed up in a black turtleneck, looking like the $6 million man, teeth sinking in knuckles. But they left the pièce de résistance to the end, when they screamed, "Surprise!" and unveiled a sparkling silver bicycle with a banana seat. Where had they gotten the money? But even their magic couldn't give me what I really wanted. Skating lessons. I wanted to be Dorothy Hamill. Every day I'd head out to the field at the bottom of the hill by our townhouse, where rainwater pooled and froze over in December through February. I'd spend hours practicing crossovers and pirouettes, sticking my butt in the air until I was gliding on one leg like Dorothy. While playing Mr. Wolf or tag with my sisters and some neighborhood kids, Allison Walmsley's mom would call out to her in her English lilt, "Allison, time for skating lessons." Allison Walmsley got professional skating lessons. Whenever we heard it, we would all stand there, dumbified, imagining what it would be like to have lessons. In winter, I'd be on my rink, when Allison would mosey along and casually monopolize it, showing off her moves while her mother called out encouragement from the sidelines. We would all be obliged to stand there, watching her, afraid to disturb the ceremony. We were the children of the no lessons. One day, I broke my leg, running to the rink with my skates on to beat Allison to it. It was the most pain I'd ever experienced in my 9 years. Allison got the rink to herself after that. The cast went mid-thigh. I was interned in the basement where the necessities, TV and toilet, were readily accessible. My sisters had to carry me to the loo, 2 on my arms, 2 on my legs. I screamed when the 2 on my legs turned a corner before the other 2. They laughed while I bawled, and Pat said she would pee her pants. They might have dropped me, but they never did.